Well, today I want to take you through my financial life, the roller coaster ride it has been. There was a great expression I heard recently. They said, you make plans and God laughs. And like when I think about my financial life, that is all I can think about. Like I had so many plans and sometimes they got derailed and sometimes things went so much better than I had ever expected. This goes all the way back to when I started my financial life in 2008, which was when I graduated high school. And I consider basically your financial life starts when you graduate high school. I graduated high school in 2008 and we were off and all the way up until today, all right? You can say up here is 2019. And I want to explain everything that happened along the way. I want to explain the person I was during those times and what kind of happened, all right? So 2008 through 2010, very vital period. My wealth, this is a chart of my net wealth, let's put it that way, okay? The total amount of money I had. 2008 through 2010, we didn't gain much wealth, but I gained a ridiculous amount of knowledge during that time. I was going to community college, taking business courses, learning things like that. I was also running track at the time at the college I was at. And most of my time was not just spent on learning in the classes, okay? So learning from the business instructors and learning from the accounting professors and things like that. I spent a ridiculous amount of time in the computer lab learning other things from business, from outside sources, learning about investing. This is when I found Warren Buffett and I started to study up on stock market investing. And although I didn't have very much money at all at those particular times, I actually started investing in it from my own money in 2009, very early 2009. Actually started investing my own money and like it was a few $100s at a time. Like I didn't have much money. I was working a job, my first job I got was working at Einstein Bagels as like the person that like takes people's orders at this Einstein Bagels, and it was for $8.50 an hour. And then I got a job at Walgreens after that. I think they were paying $8.75 or something like that. And so during this period, I didn't make a lot of money and my net worth did not go up much. Let's just put it that way, all right? It wasn't until the very end of 2010, right before my 21st birthday, that I got a job at a company named QuikTrip, okay, QT. And this company, I got a job as like an overnight assistant manager, and this job started at around $40,000. And very, very quickly, I rose the ranks there, and I was working at like the best, most bonusing stores out in Arizona. And in a very quick amount of time, like a 7-month span, all of a sudden I went from making like 40K to like making 50K plus. And at 21 years old, and the economy still wasn't in very good shape at that time, like it felt like all the money in the world. During this time also, I was spending ridiculous amounts of time studying on companies. Like the amount of work I put in back then toward investing compared to nowadays, it's not even on the same scale. Like I would read annual reports for hours and hours and hours every night. But at that time, like I needed to spend a ridiculous amount of time because I was trying to catch up on this gauntlet of companies that I never researched. Like nowadays, I kind of like have, a ton of companies already in my head that I understand their business models and what they do. At that time, it was just a learning time, and I would spend hours and hours and hours. Well, basically, if I wasn't working at QuikTrip, I was probably reading an annual report or listening to conference calls or something like that. Like the work ethic I put in toward investing was ridiculous. So I'm making good money, and I'm also saving a lot of money, and I'm investing all that money, and I was getting ridiculous gains year after year after year. 2011, 2012, 2013, into 2014. The gains were extraordinary. I had $200,000 in my stock market accounts alone before I was age 25. And when you come from nothing to get to that level while you work at a convenience store, like it's a pretty hard thing to do. Now, the person I became toward the end of this, especially toward like 2014, I did not like who I became, okay? I became a person who started to get very, very arrogant to the point where I would look down on people if they hadn't achieved a certain amount of money. I would like push them down. Instead of uplifting people, instead of, trying to show people the positives and whatnot, I would push them down and try to be like, you're stupid for not doing this. You're stupid for not investing in the stock market. I became a very, I would say ugly person on the inside, okay? There's one specific moment that happened toward that like 2014 time frame. It was before I left the company QuikTrip I was working at. And I remember this very specific moment. This gentleman, he was working a shift, and basically I had already taught him like everything about stock market investing. He came over to my apartment. I taught him everything. I showed him the gains I'd gotten, this and that over the last number of years. And he never ended up investing any money. And I was so mad about that. And he wanted to go the real estate investing route. He's like, no, I really want to do real estate investing. I'm going to buy this property for $50,000. I'm going to fix it up. I'm going to rent it out, blah, blah, blah. And I remember this one specific shift. He was like mopping the floor or whatever. And I come up from behind him and I not like whisper in him, but I get like kind of close and I go, dude, you're so stupid for like real estate investing. Like you're worrying about such little money when you need to be worrying about big money over here. And that day I had like a gain of like $5,000 or $10,000 in my account. And that was just the ugly person I had become, where I was just like pushing people down and like, you know, like you're stupid if you don't do this. It was just, there's a difference between having an edge about yourself and like defending yourself and things like that, and a difference between being disrespectful to people and putting people down. I became a very, very arrogant, ugly person on the inside. And when you kind of have that much success in a short amount of time like that, it kind of can go to your head for the most part, okay? It can kind of go for your head. When you come from, you know, where I came from, which was like $8.50 an hour, and you build up to that amount of money in such a short amount of time, and you know, I was still very resentful about not going to like university college, because a lot of people I knew around me had gone to university for different reasons. I wasn't like smart enough to go to university. I was just very resentful, and I, you know, achieved so much in that short amount of time that I just became an ugly person inside. There are two situations in life that every man goes through. There's times when you look at a guy and you say, man, he really needs somebody to pick him up right now. And there's a time when you say, man, that person really needs to be humbled right now. And I was at that stage where I needed to be humbled, and 2015 comes along, and oh boy, did I get humbled, okay? So toward the end of 2014, I opened up a margin account. And basically, I'd gotten so many gains for so long that I was like, oh, margin, if I only have to pay 5% margin fees, I'm getting these ridiculous gains year after year. Like, it's no problem. So I left my company, QuikTrip, I was working at, and I started investing heavy on margin. And I lose a ridiculous amount of money in literally like a 6 to 9 month span during 2015. And that was a humbling period, to say the least. Like, that was by far the most humbling period I ever had in my life, and I needed it so bad, okay? I needed it to get me off my butt, and also I needed it just to kind of get like respect back for myself, and just kind of get out of that arrogant mode that like, oh, you're invincible and you're just gonna, you know, climb to the sky or something like that. This was, you know, although this was arguably the most painful year of my life, I would never take it back for anything, because I needed that year of my life. It made me a much more disciplined investor. It made me a lot smarter investor down the road, especially nowadays. And it just took me from a situation where I was just pushing people down and just pushing my weight around and showing everybody, oh, I'm so successful, look at my car, look at this, to kind of being like, you know, let's get back to reality here, okay? So, needless to say, you know, we were down and out there. We had the lowest, you know, wealth we'd had in a number of years. I probably went down to like 2012, 2011 levels. I had lost, you know, a ridiculous amount of gains in such a short amount of time. I was just margin out money, got margin calls. I was doing short-term trading. I just went away from everything that had made me successful. My head got too big, and I just thought, oh man, I can do everything at this point in time. Let me just start short-term trading on margin, money I don't even have. And it was ridiculous, guys. So ugly. Then comes 2016, 2017. At this point in time, it was clear I was going to have to get a job or something, because the amount of money I had in my brokerage was not going to cut it, and I wasn't going to mess around on margin anymore. So I had to start a business. So I started a real estate marketing company at the very end of 2015, going into 2016, and the first 6 to 7 months of that were rough, okay? It was hard to get customers. It was the first business I really tried, and I really actually ended up succeeding at down the road, but it took at least 6 to 7 months before I got to a place where it was enough money to actually start paying the bills, and I actually was able to stop taking money out of my brokerage account and whatnot to pay like just general bills like a car and, you know, the place we lived in and whatnot. So that was really, really big. And I also started a YouTube channel, the financial education channel, at that same exact time. Basically, they made no money in 2016. So I just spent like a ridiculous amount of time. Like I made 300 plus videos during 2016 for the YouTube channel, and basically they made like no money. I don't even think we made $2,000 total off of 300 plus. Like, it was ridiculous, okay? But needless to say, I got the real estate marketing company to a point in 2016 where we were actually able to pay all the bills and whatnot. And that was an amazing feeling, because I had messed around with starting many companies in the past, and they had all failed. Basically because I didn't put in the work ethic toward it, because I was getting such great stock market gains, and then I had a consistent job that I was like, do I really want to start this business? There was like a million of them. So that was a good feeling. And then 2017 came. In 2017, the real estate marketing business, that became very consistent. I got a certain amount of customers that was very consistent, you know, calling for photos and videos and different things like that. And then YouTube actually started bringing in decent money. I launched a book on Amazon. It went bestseller for the first weekend it was out. That was incredible. And so that was a big moment in my life. But, you know, 2016, 2017, I would call these the recovery years, okay? These were the recovery years from this massive, massive loss boss where we just got humbled to the sky, okay? We just got so humbled there. And so going into 2017, I had a hard decision to make. It was either, am I gonna focus full-time on YouTube and social media and things like that, or am I gonna still keep up this real estate marketing company I had that was the first company I ever had that was successful? And I decided at the very beginning of 2018 to go ahead and cut that and just focus full-time on YouTube. And that was, a phenomenal decision there, and our net worth is now more than it's ever been. But I can tell you guys, if you're down and out right now, one, just like, don't worry about it, guys. Like I went through this time period. It was not fun, to have a few $100 or $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever. And, I went through this period that was just like, it's one of those periods you need to be humbled. And I see a lot of people on social media and whatnot, and, I just kind of fit that, the prototypical guy. I drove a sports car, and I was like, thought I was the ish, and I just had made so much money and I had so much success. And like, I look at other guys now on social media or wherever it is that are really young in their, very early 20s. They don't have kids or anything like that. And they just, are in that mode where they just are so arrogant and whatnot. And so I'm like sympathetic to them. Eventually, probably they'll get humbled as well. I hope they don't. But if they do, sometimes it's the best thing that can happen to you in the end, because it's one of those situations, guys. You don't want to become an ugly person. I really became an ugly person toward the end of that period. And I'm happy, with not just, the fact that we have, the net worth is the most it's ever been, but I'm happy with that, the impact I make. And I try not to ever push people down. I try to say, hey, here's this thing I'm doing over here that's working. You can make money doing this. You can make money doing that and teaching things. But it's a big difference between, teaching somebody and inspiring people and motivating people and pushing them down and saying, you're so stupid because you're trying this over here or something like that. So I'm much more proud of the person I became, and obviously as a husband now and father of two and whatnot, they humbled me as well. Having kids, I think that was another big thing in my life, like to have kids and just like understand this is like bigger than you, and you want to be a good example for them. It's not just like you're playing this game by yourself. You got a wife, you got kids. It's not just you in this game anymore. And so I'm just happy with where we're at. Let's just put it that way. I'm just very, very happy with where we're at. And we'll have to keep it going, but we'll see how things turn out. I never expected this rapid of a rise in money, okay? And I sure as heck never expected that downfall there. I never expected that. If I was to be a flat out liar, if I ever told you I expected to grow money that fast and for us to lose that much money in a 6 to 9 month span, I would never expected that. And did I ever expect this in 2018? No, I never expected that either. So, it's one of those things. I think it's good to make plans and try to, plan out the future. But, like I said, you make plans and God laughs. And that's just the truth, man. I never expected this. I never expected this. And I never expected that, man. I'd be a flat out liar if I said, oh yeah, I saw all that coming. Oh yeah, I saw all that coming. No, I never saw that stuff coming, guys. It just happened. And, that's the name of the game, but it's, my story's a bit of a bounce back story. It's inspiring, but it's a bit of a bounce back. But like I said, I'm happy I went through what I went through, guys. And now I just try to be disciplined, make good investments, stay diversified, do things like that. Try to invest in companies I believe in for the next 5 to 10 years and not get caught up in the short term, make dividend money, reinvest that money, do all those type of things, and then just teach people. And that's the name of the game for me nowadays. So happy with where we're headed, and hopefully it keeps going, and we'll see where we're at in the future. But to talk about plans in the future, it's just kind of silly, I guess. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope this inspired you a bit. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.